What's up, you guys? You're back with Zoro. The official Viz translation of One Piece Chapter 1027 is out. We're going to do a review, recap, and a final grade at the end of the video. So, if you're excited for all that, leave a comment, leave a like, and feel free to subscribe for more One Piece content. So the chapter is called Danger Beyond Imagining, and we start off with the cover page of Roger running away from a lion whose face he had just scribbled on, and Shanks and Buggy are up top in the tree. Granted, Roger could have just given the lion the Odin treatment, but, Roger's a nice guy, so he just runs away instead. Going into the main chapter, we start off with Nekomamushi being hugged by Carrot after winning his fight against Perospero. Nekomamushi notes that the moon is out again and tells him to be careful not to go back into Sulong form. We of course know that the skies and the heavens split because of the clash of Conqueror's Haki between Luffy and Kaido in the previous chapter. Jumping to that fight, we see Momo and Yamato noting the same thing, that Roger and Whitebeard also accomplished a similar feat of splitting the heavens with their Conqueror's Haki without touching. Yamato then starts feeling the effects of Kaido's Thunder Bagua that she thought she had blocked previously, but apparently didn't. Luffy asks Yamato to quote-unquote help that coward, referring to Momonosuke. Momo then yells at him. Luffy follows up by telling him to shape up, and Momo astutely notes that, no matter how cool Luffy's coach-like motivational speech from the last chapter was, people can't just change their nature in minutes, which is fair. Yamato then tells Momo not to worry and that she'll be by his side, and sorry for leaving him earlier, hops on his back, and they're getting ready to leave the fight to Luffy and Kaido, but Kaido gives chase before they try to fully escape. As Momo and Yamato are leaving, Momo thinks of Kiku and Kinemon, who are presumably dead at this point. If they actually are, that's anyone's guess. He asks them to give him strength, which is a pretty touching moment. But do you guys actually think they're dead? Part of me is like, this is One Piece, the same story that Pell survived the nuke in. So I'm thinking they're not dead, frankly, but that's yet to be seen. Anyway, Kaido catches up to them, and he thrusts his club at them. Yamato blocks it, and then Luffy comes from behind and ties Kaido up with his legs. Yamato says to Luffy that, you want to take him yourself, don't you? And with a huge smile on his face, Luffy says, yeah. Hashtag Will of D, everyone. Anyway, even though Luffy last chapter got the award for Coach of the Year, Yamato is looking to get her own award this chapter, and she was looking to be a distinguished professor. Because as they're leaving, Yamato is telling Momo that, dragons, don't fly. What they really do is they generate these flame clouds and they hold on to them and they use them to, swift, freely through the skies. And, Momo is able to grasp this concept as she's explaining it. He grabs the air and he's able to seemingly master flying at this point, as much as one can master flying in a matter of minutes. Anyway, Momo and Yamato notice that Onigashima is starting to collapse. Yamato deduces that Kaido's powers might be weakening and making the flame clouds that he produced to keep the island afloat and moving towards the capital holding up. And so she thinks that his flames are becoming unstable. Momo then points out that it's a disaster waiting to happen, and he tries to move the island by using his physical body. So he just, smashes his head towards it, trying to move it back, but it's to no use. Yamato says that won't work, and he'll have to generate flame clouds stronger than Kaido's to push it back, which, good luck with that. But as I'm thinking about it more, going through the chapter a few times, this seemingly he's going to do this, right? He's going to have some moment like his dad did where it's going to be, Luffy versus Kaido, they're going to be having this long, drawn-out fight, and Momo's going to have to be responsible for keeping the island afloat, and, making sure that it doesn't fall down as Kaido's powers are weakening from that fight. And it's going to be an incredible feat of strength, and I think he's going to accomplish it. And the only way that it's going to make sense is if, in my opinion at least, who knows what Oda will draw up, but the only way that makes sense to me is if somehow the devil fruit that Vegapunk created that's based off of Kaido's fruit is actually somehow stronger, right? So, Momo doesn't need the years of experience that Kaido had to, build to get this strong. Maybe from a purely ability of the devil fruit standpoint, meaning the flame clouds that you can produce, maybe somehow Vegapunk's fruit is stronger, right? So there's not a lot of training time required to pull off some of these strictly devil fruit related abilities, which is super scary if he's able to replicate this. Imagine some of these abilities that devil fruit users have that potentially they had to train years to master. Like, you think about lost fruit, he had to have him, essentially learn to be a doctor in order to use it to its full abilities. What if Vegapunk can replicate these devil fruit abilities and make it so that the user actually doesn't have to, have that much of a learning curve? They can just, be that potent right out the gate. That is super, super duper scary. But anyway, that I'm sure is a topic we'll be able to touch on many chapters to come. So back to the chapter, as Momo's pointing out that it's a disaster waiting to happen, Yamato's telling him that he'll have to generate those flame clouds. Momo's saying, well, that's impossible, which, it definitely sounds impossible now, but we'll see. I definitely think that he's going to do it, and he's going to do it because his powers are enhanced by Vegapunk's artificial fruit. Yamato points out that, there is no good outcome, right, if Momo isn't able to pull this off. Because either, one, Kaido succeeds in landing Onigashima on the Flower Capital as intended, which will result in a lot of casualties on the ground, or he's not able to do it. His fight with Luffy leads to him going down, his flame clouds disappear, and then the island falls, colliding hard with the capital and detonating all of those weapons that we heard about at the beginning of the saga, really, that's on Wano. And so that would cause a huge explosion that would kill enemies and allies alike. And so really, the only way that there is a victimless outcome to this is if Momonosuke is able to summon the power to, move the island, essentially summon flames stronger than whatever strength Kaido's flames are at currently, now that it's being weakened due to the fight with Luffy. Momo says, well, maybe we should stop Luffy, right? If it seems like, we have two bad outcomes here. The worst outcome would be Onigashima falling. So maybe if we stop Luffy from fighting Kaido, then we wouldn't have the worst case scenario. And Yamato says, well, we can't do that, right? This is the man who is putting everything on the line, everything on his back to stand in the line of danger against Kaido. How can we tell him that and distract him? And which, is a fair point, right? You want Luffy to focus on his fight, undeterred, without any other burden on his mind. So fair play there to Yamato. But anyway, they say, she says, we have to take this on ourselves, and so without anyone finding out. So it looks like we may have a Hour of Legend like scenario with Momonosuke coming up, and potentially I can totally see this Momonosuke standing very close in between the Flower Capital and Onigashima falling, holding it up, all of the citizens seeing it, and really becoming the next Odin in their eyes. And maybe that's how he at least earns everyone's respect. Anyway, from there we jump to the performance floor, and we see that King is on a rampage. He looks to be in some kind of hybrid form with his pterodactyl wings. So his wings are just unleashing slashes indiscriminately, attacking friend and foe, destroying structures, slashing them in half, all that good jazz. One of his attacks sends Zoro flying into the arms of Frankie. Zoro says that King is strong, but of course he is. And then Frankie asks, hey man, do you want some help? Zoro of course says, don't worry about it. It'll be fine, because of course he does. That's our boy, Zoro. But anyway, going back to where King hit Zoro from, Queen is telling him, hey man, you gotta stop these chaotic attacks. You sliced my butt. And then King's like, I wish I had sliced your neck, which pretty brutal stuff, but I guess that's how they've always been bantering. King goes to meet Zoro, where he blasted him off to Frankie. And a Beast Pirate noted right before that Zoro sliced King's mask, and that's probably why he's angry, because no one has seen King's face before. Uh, Anyway, as King is making his way over to Zoro, Zoro tells Frankie to stand back, and he starts to clash with King. King comes in with an attack called, what was it? It was Imperial Archer. And so the attack sees him flying directly into Zoro and making contact with his blade-like left wing. Zoro blocks Imperial Archer with his 3-sword style Tiger Hunt. However, it wasn't really a block because he pushes Zoro through the skull of Onigashima and really off the island. But then Zoro almost falls down, to the bottom of the sea, or maybe even on Wano. I'm not exactly sure where they are now. They might be close to landfall, but just right short of the flower capital. But anyway, he almost falls off. Potentially, would have died had he fallen, but he used an attack called 2-sword style clearance to propel himself back up. It looks like the same move that he used when Fujitora was trying to bring him down with his gravity attack back in Dressrosa. So Zoro comes back up onto the island, face to face with King, and says, at least let me die by the sword. Show a little respect. And then King responds back to him, as we're seeing the piece of his mask that's cut off. He's like, same for me as well. Show me some respect. And so it looks like it's about to go down. They're both furious. This should be great. Really, really hoping, because I'm a Zoro stan after all, that they do some kind of Conqueror's Haki attack that also splits the sky. Like, how epic would that be? I'm expecting King to have Conqueror's Haki if Katakuri does. I don't know if we know for sure that Marco does. Maybe it was released in SBS or one of the Vivre cards. But if Katakuri has it, I would hope that the other right-hand men have it too, especially if Zoro has it. So hopefully we see that, because I think that would be epic. But of course, that might just be me being a Zoro mark. But anyway, chapter ends off there. We should have a really good confrontation with them coming up soon. But I think before that, we're going to have to see some development with Queen and Sanji. But that was it. Initially when I first went through the chapter, I thought it was a decent setup chapter, but going through it to take notes through this review, I thought it was very solid. It wasn't just a setup chapter. We had some really good action in this, some really good points being developed for later on. Again, we might see an hour of legend-like scenario with Momonosuke holding up the island right in front of the citizens, which that could be an amazing scene in the anime. Plus, we had all the King developments and the Zoro fight, which I love me a good Zoro fight, guys. Can't lie. You see the name on the YouTube channel. But anyway, after considering all of that, this chapter is going to be a solid B+ for me. I think, again, we had great action, a lot of things being set up, and really just enjoyable the more times you read it over. But what say you? What would you guys rate this chapter? Leave a comment in the comment section below. Also, be sure to like this video if you liked it. Subscribe for more One Piece content, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.